This is the lot sticker. If ever you're in need of replacing the mesh cartridge, this is the model of the cartridge itself. So it describes the overall width that it can span by the 1050, that's in millimeters, by 2180 in the height. This is the date of production of the unit. So you can quote those numbers when you're looking for a new cartridge, and we can set you up with a new one. Now we're going to do some adjustment on the wires. So in the event that, say for example, you did have to replace the roller piece and then the wires got shortened, and now you're finding that they're just too tight and the roller piece won't meet the top cap of the catch frame. So you would loosen these wires off as such, and then now all of a sudden everything's nice and loose, and you should be able to now reach, the roller piece could reach the top cap of the catch frame. And then once you've got that all sorted out and your roller piece is now reinstalled, this adjuster here controls the entire gang. And as you can see, when you pull on it, it actually pulls the top forward towards the catch frame. You let it go and it moves it out of the way. So you can adjust the skew of the slide bar by tightening the top adjuster and loosening the next one down. Silver screws are the most important. These two screws. There's one at the bottom, and there's only one wire attached to it, which is connected to the back side of the retracting mesh guide here. So that also helps with adjusting the skew. It also, if you find that the operation is a little bit too stiff, you can back off this wire. It is also connected, so it goes around the back and the bottom and comes up, and it actually is this top wire here, the very top wire of the mechanism. So if you find that only the top wire is too tight, then you can just back it off by like just a couple of millimeters or a 1/16 of an inch. That's all you really need to do each time, because any more than that, and then it's just not necessary. There's too much wire that's running through this thing. So now we're going to pull this back down. We're going to tighten up the wires. So we're going to pull it like this and move that adjuster screw down. And as you noticed, it only went down maybe about 6 or 8 millimeters, about a quarter of an inch or so. And you move back and forth a few times, just so the wires kind of find their resting place. And look at the top. Make sure the top is tight enough to the catch frame up here that there's not too much of a gap. And likewise at the bottom, so that the bottom cap is also touching over here, the catch frame. But you'll notice that if I loosen this off too much, what it's going to do, it's going to relax the top. So now move it back and forth, and you'll see that it's touching at the bottom, but there's a larger gap at the top, right? So we want to adjust it so that we bring the top closer to the catch frame, so that when you put the cover on, the magnets will connect with one another. Otherwise, you'll end up with too much of a space there. So you pull that down a touch and move the adjuster down. And then again, back and forth a few times, and you'll see that now we're almost making contact both top and bottom, and it's pretty much perfectly plumb. Again, the one very important thing is if you find the operation is a little bit too tight, you can back this off by 1 or 2 millimeters, this one by 1 or 2 millimeters. That will maintain the skew of the operator. But if you remove this one, if you move this one up too much and don't move the bottom one, then you'll end up with the slide bar going out of skew. So you want to adjust them both at the same time by the same amount, unless it does happen to be out of skew. Then you can adjust one or the other. But the top screw, tightening, pulling it down, brings the top towards the catch frame, loosening it off, lifting it up, moves it away. And likewise this here, the bottom cap does the same thing. Bringing it up actually has the bottom move towards the housing, but moving it down tightens it up and it brings it closer to the catch frame. And that's basically how you do it. Normally you don't need to touch any of the black adjusting screws, these are the main adjusters here that you have to be concerned with. The others are just for tightening each individual wire, which likely you won't need to do because this controls all of the 5 wires except for the 6th, which is the top one, which this is the screw, the silver screw at the bottom that controls that top wire. And that's how you adjust the tension wires on the Foldaway-MX. All done.